Good evening.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Justin.
and this is.
Two J's, one pod.
So, Justin, the time has come. First episode. You excited?
I'm stoked, man. Never done anything like this before.
I'm really happy to introduce us to a new audience. I mean, not really many people know us. We're a bunch of nobodies.
I don't even know myself,
I
so
mean, that's just how it works.
yeah.
So, I really want to thank you for coming on with me and being a part of this ride, and hopefully it goes good. Would you like to lay out what we're planning on doing with the show for everybody?
So yeah, essentially we're just two ordinary guys. We have a lot of interest in a variety of subjects, and we like to talk about it a lot. So we figured what better thing to do than just sit down and record it so you guys get to listen to it also. We couldn't really narrow down a topic, so what we're going to do is a seasonal structure. Season one will be about one subject, and we'll continue on that way. So, Jonathan, what do you want to talk about?
I'm thinking first season, we hit the 90s up.
Hell yeah.
And,
1993 representing.
well, I was born in the 80s, but I was raised in the 90s.
Poser.
Ha ha.
JK, you lived in it longer than I did, technically, so.
Technically, yes. So, episode one, I was thinking we hit up action movie remakes.
Okay, I mean, not my wheelhouse, but I'm here for it.
Not mine either, but with some of the recent remakes that have been happening, I started diving into remakes a little bit and saw there's been a few.
I mean, there's a lot. I mean, I just seen Twister recently, so.
And how was it? How was
It
Twister?
was pretty good. I enjoyed it. I was prepared to hate it, but it wasn't bad.
Who put you in the spot? Original or remake?
Oh, I mean, I'm going with the original. I mean, just the star power alone and the nostalgia and just everything about it. Plus, it's one of my favorite quotes of all time. Another cow. So yeah,
That's great, great. Well, once again, thank you for joining me and us and joining the show. I think we're gonna have a great time, and I found five movies that are considered '90s action movie classics, and I'll use classics lightly there because there's a few that may or may not be classics, but they hold a special place in my heart, anyways.
they do. For me as well.
So I'm thinking Total Recall,
Okay.
Point Break,
Nice.
Mortal Kombat,
Okay.
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers,
Hey, go.
and The Mummy.
All right. I mean, I'm okay. I mean, I was into The Mummy. It wasn't one of my favorite movies, but I'm sure I watched it at some point.
Well, the big thing from this is the originals seem to always be so much better compared with their remakes. So I was thinking pick five good movies in my opinion. I mean, in most people's opinion, half of them are at least good movies, with their five remakes being destroyed by the critics.
I mean, I don't know if we would actually call Power Rangers a good movie. I mean, it's one of my favorite,
I'm
obviously,
gonna call
but
it a great movie,
I watched it recently.
as did I.
Like, I
It's
still loved
great,
every single bit of it, but oof.
great movie. All right, so let's move on. So, first movie we plan on hitting on the list is Total Recall. You ever seen it?
Yeah, 1990, right?
1990. Were you born yet? No.
No, I was not. Not for another 3 years.
Let me paint a picture for you. So a man goes in to have virtual vacation memories of the planet Mars implanted in his head. An unexpected and harrowing series of events forces him to go to that planet for real. Or is he?
Mm.
I mean, that got me in, right? Just reading it here, it got
Yeah,
me right in.
it
Uh,
sounds like a book.
I think it was a book, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's an adaptation of a short story by Philip K. Dick. Dick.
Fill up my
Um,
dick.
Philip K. Dick. It was actually titled "We Can Remember It for You" wholesale.
I mean, that would be kind of cool, right?
Yeah.
The preface is pretty cool. Yeah, that would be great. So this movie,
Oh, holy shit, dude. So the dude who wrote this, so he has like, so he has seven other adaptations just that I know of right here, and one's Blade Runner, The Minority Report, The Adjustment Bureau, and Next, starring Nicolas Cage.
good old Nicolas Cage.
Nick Cage.
So the movie was released in 1990.
Hmm.
Cost 48 million to make, and it made 261 million dollars.
That's quite the return.
I mean, that's a pretty good return, especially in today's monies.
Yeah.
Uh, Looks like Rotten Tomatoes gave it an 82. It got a 60 on Metacritic and a 7.5 from IMDb.
I mean, those are pretty decent numbers.
So, your personal opinion of the movie? What'd you think about it?
Oh, I think it's iconic, man. I mean, for the time, just the special effects they were using alone. It was one of the first movies to use CGI to produce photorealistic images. So that was groundbreaking at the time. And another thing I liked about it is just all the connections with other universes. Did you see anything about that? Did you notice those?
I didn't really do much research, and honestly, I watched the movie the other night for the first time, and it was like 10:30 at night, and I have an
Mm.
early bedtime, you know.
So there are three hints in this movie that it's the same universe as the Die Hard movie.
Really, the
Yeah,
original Die Hard.
yeah, the original Die Hard. So the terminal that he logs in is the same terminal that was used in Die Hard. The CEO of that building, his last name is McClane, which was Bruce Willis's character. And then the prop that's in the bar, that same prop was used in Die Hard as well.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, what'd you think about it? So, you like that movie? You think it's a good movie?
I honestly did. I'm not real big on 80s or 90s action films, but this is honestly one of my favorites.
I thought it was good. Some of those movies don't hold up very well, and the CGI, knowing it was groundbreaking, is cool, but it does not hold up nowadays. And that's it's just that's hey, that's what happens with the way technology's gone. I would probably, realistically give it about a 7 out of 10.
I think that's fair. I'll give it a 7.6.
Ooh,
Yeah, I gotta use
7.6.
decimals, man.
So, seem to enjoy that movie a little bit.
I
What
did.
about what about the 2012 remake with what was that? Colin Farrell? Is that who?
Yeah, I don't have very nice things to say about that one. It was pretty terrible, honestly.
I mean, terrible that word doesn't even describe it. It was one of the worst movies I've ever tried to sit through. I can sit through a bad movie. I sat through Barbie. All right,
Yeah, I did too.
all right.
I wanted
20,
to like it.
27 minutes.
Mm.
That's all I lasted.
And 27 minutes is almost how many times Colin Farrell had to do that single take fight scene, by the way. He did it 22 times until he got it perfectly.
Well, I don't think we're the only two people in the world that think this movie was terrible.
Nah, I mean, we can move on for all I'm concerned. I mean, there's not a whole lot to say about it, but do you
Well,
have anything else?
I got a couple little figures on it. So it cost $125 million to make,
Too much.
which is almost three times what the original cost. And it may only made $211 million.
Mm.
So the original movie outgrossed it by $50 million.
With a way smaller budget.
Way smaller budget.
Yeah.
Also, 31 on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.2 on IMDb. Kind of blew my mind. It's a little too high for IMDb.
Right.
And a 31 on Metacritic.
I mean, that's fair.
I mean, what would you rate it?
3 point, or sorry, I would rate it a 2.7 probably, and that's being generous. Just because I wanted it to be good, I'll give it that 0.7. But yeah, that's where I'm at.
So I'm also going to go 2.7 because that's how many minutes, just about, that I lasted. 27 minutes equals a 2.7 to me. So I really think we should move on. I don't think there's not much to say about this movie. This movie's pretty terrible.
Yeah,
And
so terrible that Jessica Biel won a Razzie for Worst Supporting Actress.
don't put her name in this movie, all right?
Yeah, well,
I just can't believe that
these are
somebody
the
so
facts.
perfect like
Mm.
Jessica Biel was in such a bad movie.
You got to pay the bills.
I mean, she could have picked something else. Let's move on to another classic early 90s hit, Point Break,
Far out, man.
starring Keanu Reeves and a little unknown actor, Patrick Swayze.
Switchblade? Switzerland.
So Swizzy?
Swahilis.
Swayze.
That's it.
Yeah, we're just messing with you. Everybody knows who Patrick Swayze is.
course.
The dancing machine.
Yeah, man. What a body, right?
I mean, that scene with him and Farley in
Mm.
Saturday Night Live. You ever see it?
Yeah, of course. The Chippendale scene.
Oh my God, wonderful,
Yeah,
wonderful.
yeah. Yeah.
So I was just watching Dark Side of Comedians. I think it was. It was on Vice or something like that. And they were talking about that scene with Chris Farley.
Yeah, it messed him up, man.
It messed him up because he had such body image issues.
Yeah, he was not. I mean, he was a trooper. He did it, but he just liked to make people laugh. But
That's
it messed him up.
all he did was make people laugh.
Hmm.
All right, all right. So back to the movie, Point Break, starring two of the top 50 greatest actors of all time.
Yeah, I mean, and this was the movie that really solidified Keanu Reeves as a star,
Yeah, because he was just Bill and Ted.
right?
I mean, he was just
Yeah.
like, "Hey, dudes," and which was a good movie too. I'm not a huge fan of it, but you give me John Wick any day.
Oh, of course. Stab you with a pencil, man.
I mean, John Wick and Dirty Dancing, two opposite movies, but two classics.
Hey, Ghost is good too, man. I like Ghost.
Oh, I love Ghost. Oh, Ghost is great. So, Point Break was released in 1991 with a little budget of $24 million.
Okay,
I mean, that's like nothing.
no.
But all they needed was surfboards and the coast, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, the ocean's free.
And it made $83.5 million at the box office.
I mean, that's a pretty good come up from 24 mil.
This is where I have a little bit of a gripe with the critics, though. We got a 69 on Rotten Tomatoes, a
Mm.
59 on Metacritic, and a 7.3 on IMDb.
I mean, I think it's pretty fair because I mean, you got to also compare it to other movies that came out around this time period. I'm assuming.
I would say, yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that would be
So
it.
there's a lot of good movies that came out in the 90s. But one thing I did appreciate about this movie, though, Patrick Swayze did all of his own stunts, including all of the surfing, right?
I did not know that. That's
Yeah.
pretty sweet. It was just like he did all his own stunts in Dirty Dancing.
Right. So before they casted Swayze and Reeves, did you know who they were going to cast for the roles?
I really have no idea, but I can take a stab at it. Let me just
Okay.
take a stab.
Who you got? It's not Shawn Michaels.
I was gonna go Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels.
Correct.
That
No.
would have been a movie right there.
All right. So Val Kilmer. Val Kilmer's one.
All right,
Okay.
Batman, Tombstone. All
All
right.
right. Matthew Broadwick is the other one. Bueller.
Yeah, I don't. That one doesn't fit at all.
Yeah, I don't know where. I mean, he was in Godzilla. So
But that was after the fact, right? I mean, that
yeah,
was like 8 years after.
Bueller.
Yeah, I couldn't see Ferris being kind of. I mean, once again, Keanu Reeves wasn't anybody yet either. So
Hey, that's why these casting agents get paid a lot of money and we don't, right?
what do you think about Point Break?
So yeah, I think Point Break's a really good movie. I liked it. It's pretty nostalgic for me because I remember watching it with my dad as I was younger. And there's just some really good scenes with beautiful scenery and some really good dialogue. And just the ending scene and everything about it, I love it. It really pulls you in.
I think I have a hot take on this movie.
Mm,
I don't think it was as good as everybody tried to tell me it was growing up. So I watched this movie for the first time 3 days ago.
okay, and you didn't like it?
I mean, so the premise sounds great. An FBI agent goes undercover to catch a gang of surfers who may be bank robbers.
Yeah, okay, that sounds silly when you say it that way, but
I mean, it really does. A bunch of surfers, bank robbers. I mean,
it's a little more complex than that.
it is. It's a lot more complex. And I really do like the dynamic when Keanu joins them and he becomes this surfer and he falls in love. And,
Yeah, he
you
had to
know,
learn all that surfing to like blend in because he didn't know any of that prior.
but it proves to you, he almost got lost in it, though.
Yeah.
Because he didn't take the shot at Swayze when he had a chance to. And it's funny, they actually redo that scene in the new one, but a little differently. I
But
don't know.
that's almost the point, isn't it though?
They became best friends.
Yeah, it's perception, right? Because at first you're from the outside looking in, and then you infiltrate them and you kind of understand them, and it gives you different perspective, and it's just a different look on life, and that's why it was so hard to take that shot because he understood them.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I just watched the trailer for it while we're sitting here, and the trailer really does sell it hard. And it wasn't the worst movie I've ever seen. It was built. It's been built up to me for 35 years. It
So it
feels
just
like
wasn't worth 30 years of hype, is what
it
you're
wasn't.
saying.
If I would have saw it back in '91, I mean, I would have been 2 or 3 years old then, but I probably would have appreciated it a little bit more.
That's
But
fair.
but I will say, I mean, it is a great movie. It really was a great movie. So, how about that reboot, remake, whatever you want to call that travesty? Well, what everybody else says was a travesty.
Jonathan, th- do you want me to go first? I mean, I'll be short and simple if you want to go. Do you want to save yours for last? Because I won't take long.
Now, let me hear what you got to say about it.
I hated it. I thought it was garbage. I thought it was nothing like the first Point Break. So I was confused why it was called Point Break. I thought it was more comparable to what is it, Extreme Ops? Do you remember that from the 90s?
Never saw it.
See, that'd be right up your alleys. I mean, that is like trash cinema right there. And this is what it kind of reminded me of. And the premise was different, and it just didn't match up. So I wasn't a fan.
Well, I will tell you that you're not alone in thinking that it was terrible.
Yeah,
So, with a budget of 105 million, it
too
did
much.
133 at the box office. 28 million bucks, nothing.
Ugh.
Rotten Tomatoes, 11%. IMDb, 5.3, and it's sitting at a 34 on Metacritic.
That's still generous, I think. But I mean, you liked it though, right?
I did like it. I will. This is where I think I have a hot take. I think it was a really good. I won't say really good movie. It kept my attention though. So this is what I'm throwing out there. That first little tidbit I said, an undercover FBI agent catching surfers. Listen to this. A young FBI agent infiltrates an extraordinary team of extreme sports athletes. He suspects of masterminding a string of unprecedented, sophisticated corporate heists.
I mean, the description does sound better.
Sucks you right in.
I will say this, Jonathan. As far as the premise and the plot and all that goes, I think it's good. I think the way they did it just was rough. I think it's a good idea. I just don't think they executed it very well.
And I would agree because I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, because it had a lot of this, they reenacted a lot of the same scenes. They really did. The only things they really changed is they took them from being surfers to extreme athletes, which was so big in the 2000s. So that's why they did that.
Well, let's go back to what I just said, Jonathan. One of the main points of the first movie was that he had to learn to surf and then he became to understand all these people. This guy was already an extreme sports guy before going. He already knew how to do all these things. So there was no learning, there was no like bonding thing. I felt like that was natural.
Well, original Johnny Utah was an ex football star.
Mm.
That's how everybody knew who he was. So he was an athlete, but they transcend that to make it a little bit more realistic because it takes a lot longer than a couple of weeks to hop up on a surfboard.
Now, you haven't seen me.
I mean, I don't want to see you on a surfboard, bro.
Hey,
Keep your
listen,
clothes on.
a lot of people pay a lot of money for that.
I don't think they did. Keep your shirt on and not get on the surfboard or get in the ocean.
They try to roll me back in every time I go to the beach. That's why I don't go.
With all that being said, the remake, they did a better job at making it more realistic by showing a guy who had a background in extreme sports, had a background in snowboarding and surfing and moto and all that stuff. And it was that would be a much easier guy to go in there and infiltrate a group.
Well, see, that's kind of where my opinion is different, all right? Because your guy is already established and all that. So whenever he's jumping out of these planes, it's not a big deal for him. So Keanu's character actually had to do it in the moment. He didn't have a second's opportunity to kind of think about it, and he had to get over that shit real quick. And he did. And I think that's more meaningful. I mean, that's just why I like the first one better. And
And you
that's
think
why
that's
we
why
have,
that bonded him and Swayze together so much?
yeah, I think there was a realness about it. I think there was less of a poser like special ops infiltrate thing going on. It started off that way, but it blossomed into something else.
Well, I understand we both differ on this one a lot.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not going to say it's a great movie by any means. I just think, besides it being a little bit more over the top, I think it was a more realistic concept than a bunch of surfers robbing banks. But with that being said, I still feel the original one's probably a tad bit better. Overall, I don't think the original one's that great either, and I don't think the new one's that great.
Would you recommend either one of them?
If you've never seen Point Break and you think you like movies and you know movies, you don't like or know movies. It's a movie you have to see.
Good point.
So, what would you give the new Point Break?
I'll give the new Point Break a 4.1. And that's because you really like it, so I'm being nice.
I'd probably go 6.5.
Wow. Okay. Generous.
And did we rate the original Point Break yet? No. We kind of just moved on and went and started talking. We were comparing the two movies.
Is that the one I said 7.3 for? You sure? Well, that's what I give it.
7.3?
7.3.
I'd probably give it a solid 7 then too. So to recap there, I wouldn't recommend the new Point Break to anybody. Would you?
No.
I would definitely recommend the original.
Yeah, if you somehow have got through your entire life and haven't watched the original Point Break, just go ahead and knock that off.
Yeah, it's not very long. It was good. I mean, it was overall, it's a movie you should probably add to your repertoire.
Yeah, it's an easy movie to watch as well.
All right, so now Mortal Kombat.
Finish him.
Get over here.
Love it, man. Love it.
I really love it too. And, you know, I've watched the movie a billion times. It's not considered a great movie to critics. If you're a video gamer and you grew up in the 90s, you watched Mortal Kombat and you loved it.
Right.
I had myself, sitting in my chair watching it the other night, and I was a kid again, saying the lines like, "Get over here
and finish him.
Your soul is mine."
But that was a trend at that time too, because they also redid the Mario Brothers movie at the time, or based it off the game, anyways, I should say, and that also sucked.
That was terrible.
Yeah.
And that was what, 3 or 4 years before there?
Right. Was that in the 90s?
That was in the 90s.
Okay.
So you know what? We could have threw that movie in here too.
We could have.
Because technically they rebooted it
recently. Yeah, that's
and it
right.
was awesome.
Yeah. Peaches, 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 peaches.
Yeah, Jack Black was awesome. All right.
Yeah.
So back to Mortal Kombat. And realistically, looking at that movie, I mean, it really had no big names in it besides maybe Christopher Lambert and who was the chick? She played Sonya Blade.
She played Sonya Blade. And speaking of Sonya Blade, by the way, because we're talking about the first movie, and that was Miss Veronica Vaughn, by the way.
Oh, Miss Veronica Vaughn.
So hot. Want to touch the hiney. Ow. Anyway, yeah, Sonya Blade.
I think she did all her own stunts.
Yeah, that's right. So Sonya Blade did all her own stunts. Miss Veronica Vaughn. Her name's Bridget something. I can't think of her last name.
Bridget Wilson? No.
It's Bridget Wilson something.
Yeah.
It's hyphenated. Like, but yeah, she did all of her own stunts and ended up dislocating her shoulder. And this was actually her first movie she was in, wasn't it?
I don't know if it was the first, but
it was earlier in her career at least.
It was definitely earlier in her career.
No, she was in The Last Action Hero as well.
She was in the Last Action Hero. From what I hear, it's a great movie. I've never seen it.
It's one of my favorite Schwarzenegger films. You should watch it.
So, just a quick fact, because I was looking her up while we were sitting there. You know who she's married to?
Vin Diesel.
Pete Sampras.
Who?
Pete Sampras? Bad boy of tennis?
See, that's why it says Sampras right here. I told you it was hyphenated.
It's hyphenated. I didn't realize she was married to Pete Sampras.
Who is that again?
He is the bad boy. He was a tennis star back in the 90s.
Oh, that's why I don't know who it is.
Everybody knows who Pete Sampras is.
Do I look like I watch tennis?
No, do I?
I mean, yeah.
But great movie.
So who's your favorite character?
I'm pretty boring. It's probably Sub-Zero.
Sub-Zero, I mean, he's my second favorite. Of course, Scorpion's my favorite. I'm just like everybody else.
I could see that.
The guy who plays Scorpion, his name is Chris Kamasa. He actually was hired as a stunt ninja, but one of the producers saw him and thought he was so good, they gave him the role as Scorpion. Now, he didn't speak English, so The English lines are actually done by the original voice from the games.
That's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
Midway,
Yeah, Ed Boon.
the creator of Mortal Kombat,
I mean, he's co-creator. Yeah,
co-creator. But
yeah,
yeah,
one of them.
that's pretty awesome. So great movie. Couple little quick little tidbits. So you're looking at $20 million budget,
Ooh, almost nothing.
almost nothing, and it grossed $122 million.
Ooh, that's like 100 grand.
It's 100 million.
Or yeah, that's what it meant.
It's 100 million, which is like
Math
1 billion nowadays.
Math is not my best friend. We know this.
I know that.
That's why you're the stat guy.
But it only got a 47 on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.8 on IMDb, but it got a 60 on Metacritic, which ties Total Recall.
Yeah, that's because this is one of those movies that, yeah, it probably didn't do well in the box office. But yeah, it gained a following later on. It became one of those cult classics that we all love.
Yeah, I mean, it's an 8 in my book. I don't care if everybody say it. It brings me back every time I sit and watch it, and just little memories from it. Just watching Johnny Cage do the split and punching Goro in the nuts. That brought me back to the video game, and I was a huge gamer, so that's why I loved it.
All right, well, I'm going to take my nostalgia. I'm going to take the factor of nostalgia out of it, and I'm going to give it an honest 6.4.
I mean, still taking that out, that's not terrible.
No, I still like the movie, yeah.
But the remake, it was hyped, and it was garbage.
Mm.
Budget, 55 million. Guess what it made at the box office? You want to talk about a flop? $84 million.
I was going to say 72 just to be funny.
But it released in 21, COVID,
All right.
and
fair.
it went pretty much directly to HBO Max.
I thought you were going to say straight to DVD, and I was going to laugh my ass off.
It would have been straight to VHS, which is what should have happened.
Should have.
But Rotten Tomatoes scores it a 55. They only gave the original a 47. IMDb gave it a 6. Metacritic, which is the one I trust in this situation, gave it a 44, which suits it.
Yeah, it's probably fair, I guess.
I mean, it was terrible.
Do you know what's funny though? Is the film was initially supposed to be rated NC-17 upon the first submission to the MPAA for graphic violence. The director Simon McQuaid or whatever his name was, later hired an additional editor to cut down several gory and brutal scenes. This was to give it the desired rated R, or R rating rather.
To be more commercialized.
Yeah,
Commercial.
but what's ironic about that is the first movie, the original, it was going to be a rated R movie, but they actually edited it down to be a PG-13 movie for commercial reasons.
And see, I understand that one more being edited down because it was geared towards teenagers who played Mortal Kombat.
Right.
So why not make it something they can get in and watch? The remake was once again not geared. It was geared towards those same teenagers who are now adults.
Yeah, they're in their 30s and 40s now.
And to get rid of the gory violence, which makes Mortal Kombat awesome, I bet that hurt it way more than they know.
Yeah, I don't know who was the brainchild behind that idea, but good job.
It was probably Disney. They own everything.
Probably.
So,
do you know Walt Disney's still alive?
Yeah, he's cryogenically frozen, dude.
Yeah.
They're gonna bring him back.
They already did.
That's kind of my plan. Is if I ever get a disease where I'm gonna die, I'm getting frozen.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do it one day so I don't have to go into work. I'm gonna call in and say I'm chronologically frozen.
I'm leaving that in there.
Yeah, the English language is great. I love it.
Wow, that was great.
This is why I'm here, folks.
Cryogenically frozen.
Yeah.
But I'll take the chronologically frozen too. We're gonna add that to our repertoire. That's staying in too. I'm staying. This whole part's staying in now.
Great.
It was wonderful. So what would you? So all that being said, what do you give the 2021 version of Mortal Kombat?
So the 2021 version, I just wasn't that into it, even though I wanted to be.
He's just not that into it.
It's not you, it's me. I give it a 3.8.
That's pretty low.
Yeah, I really wasn't into it. I wanted to.
I tried.
I didn't finish it.
I wanted to love the movie. I didn't rewatch this one recently. This is one I watched back in 21. I haven't seen it since then. I don't remember anything from it.
I remember.
Nothing.
I remember that Scorpion. His only English line in the entire movie was,
Get over here.
"Yep." Everything else was in Japanese.
But he was Japanese, that's why.
I know, I'm just okay.
So is
But why does it make sense for him to know that in English though? That's my point.
because it's a video game.
Yeah, it's a video game.
I would not agree totally with you. I'll give it a 5.
Okay. Fair.
50%. I would probably watch it again though, just to see if I missed something, which I don't think I did.
I should probably give it a better chance. It was late at night, and I was just, not that into it.
So, I think the next one's gonna pull on our heartstrings a little bit.
What is it?
Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, 1995. Let me paint you a scene.
I just got hot flashes.
Me too. I just got it. I felt it. I got nervous thinking about it. You flip on the TV, all right? It's 2003, all right? What are you, 9 years old then? No. What are you, 10? 10 years old, all right? You're laying on the couch, and all of a sudden you come to a movie. You recognize it, but you can't remember where. And all of a sudden you start hearing Higher Ground playing. And you see these 5 teenagers with attitude jumping out of an airplane to land on a bullseye. Boom.
High school students, by the way.
Teenagers with attitude. I mean, what are you going to say?
Well, I rewatched this thing recently, man. Every scene in this entire movie has nostalgia associated with it, and I loved it. Even the scene you're talking about where they're jumping out of that plane, just seeing like the White Ranger, R.I.P. Jason Frank,
That's Tommy.
But even just that alone, seeing him jump out of the plane with the little snowboard thing under his feet, every scene brought back an emotion or an old thought, and it was nice.
Funny story. So when this movie came out, I was 6 years old. And previous to this, I watched the Power Rangers every day before school. They were on at 7:30
Nerd.
and 7. You're a nerd. And when they brought Tommy in as a Green Ranger, one of us, it was me, changed his name and told everybody, you have to call me Tommy from now on. And I went as Tom. I would not let people not call me Tommy. He was the man back in those days. Not only was he the man, he got the girl who was also my first crush, which is Kimberly, the Pink Ranger, the original Pink Ranger.
Mm.
It's just a wonderful, terrible movie in all reality. And the one-off villain, Ivan Ooze, come on.
Iconic, man. I love it. You know, in that scene where he's destroying the command center, and he's talking about all the stuff he missed while he was confined in this egg, and he's talking about the Spanish Inquisition and the Black Plague, and then he finally says, "In the Brady Bunch reunion." All of that was scripted except for the Brady Bunch thing. That was an ad lib by him, so I just find that hilarious.
But to see Power Rangers on the big screen was awesome. I saw this in theaters when it came out. Luckily, my mom took me.
Shout out, Sandy.
Shout out to mom. Everything is just amazing about. I'm watching the trailer right now, and from them jumping out of the airplane to them getting their ninja outfits to them losing their powers. And
What about that scene where they all get their new powers?
so when they get the ninja things and she's going down and saying, "You're the bear, you're the what?" and they get to the Black Ranger time, Adam, and she goes, "What's wrong?" "I'm a frog."
I love it. Just the way he says it. So disappointed. And then she's like, but that's a good thing. Just like a prince I want to kiss.
Great movie. I could sit and talk about it for hours and talk about Power Rangers. I'm giving this one a 9 out of 10. And that is 100% 6-year-old Jonathan sitting here and getting excited. And palms are a little sweaty. Mom's spaghetti. and I'm just ready to watch Power Rangers again. I want to go play with my toys.
So with Mortal Kombat, I took nostalgia completely out of the equation.
It's hard to do with this one, isn't it?
I'm going to leave this in there and crank it up to 11, and I'm going to give it a 9.9.
9.9.
Yeah, let's do it. Why not? 9.9 Power
Well,
Rangers. Let's go.
so, with that being all said, that movie, who we love so much, that movie in itself is part of my childhood. They made it with 15 million bucks.
Mm.
It made 66 million at the box office.
I mean, that's pretty good for a children's film, especially a live adaptation one. It's pretty impressive for the time.
I mean, to make it for that cheap was pretty cool because those crazy super Megazord thingies that Ivan Ooze made with
Hmm.
the scorpion and like the bug looking thing. Uh, but to do that for 15 million bucks and all that ooze they had to buy, it's a lot of ooze, bro.
Do you know how they saved money?
Yeah.
So while they were filming in Australia, they put a ad out in the Sydney paper, inviting the people out for a fireworks show and to come meet the Power Rangers. Well, it was all a ploy just to get a bunch of people down there so they didn't have to pay the extras.
I mean, that's smart.
Yeah, that's why the budget was only 15 mil.
And I mean, they made 66 mil. That's pretty cool. This movie got panned, though.
Yeah, I could see it.
32 Rotten Tomatoes, 5.3, and a 40 on Metacritic. But not the lowest rated film we're going to cover today.
Yeah, I mean, but honestly, if you were to watch this and you had no idea what this was and there's no nostalgia,
It's
you
a
would
zero, dude.
you would probably agree, to be honest, if we're being fair.
If we're being fair, I would crush it.
But hey, guys, if you were born in the 90s, absolutely go watch it again. It's worth it.
It's 100% worth it. One of us started rewatching the Power Rangers last night. That's because they couldn't sleep.
Yeah, I might dress like a Power Ranger for Halloween this year.
I
We'll
think we
see.
should do that.
Yep.
You could be the Chub Ranger.
Yeah, cool.
So,
We call it the Plum Ranger, and he's purple.
all right. So let's move on to the reboot. Because this was considered a reboot. That's what they called it. That's what they said it was. It was a reboot. Uh, I I like this movie.
Yeah,
That's all I got to say, though.
I mean, I liked it too. I mean, I'm a big Bryan Cranston fan. You know, he's in it. But did you know that he was also one of the voices in the original Power Rangers in '93? He played the Monster Twins voice, Man and Snizzlard or whatever his
Whatever
name
their
is.
names
Yeah.
are. I would have to look them up. I don't remember them that very much. But so great. It was a good movie. It really was. I think people kind of killed it who were hoping for this crazy new Power Ranger thing. I just there's something missing in the whole film, and I think that's one of the reasons why they were supposed to have a sequel to it, and they even preface that in the ending of it. They have the ending scene where we have a new student, Tommy Oliver, and we all know who that is.
Yeah, we do. Another problem is there's no Ivan Ooze.
No, but I actually liked the Rita.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I have on the villain side is Goldar.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
did you see what they did to Goldar?
I didn't want to.
I mean, it it's not good. They that made me sad. It like hurt my heart.
Hey, Jamie, could you pull that up for us, please?
So I get he's gold, but they really had a hard on for Golden.
I mean,
That actually looks kind of cool. That picture.
I was gonna say that's pretty fair, and if you try to make it more modern, like they did with the rest of the Power Rangers in the film, I think that's accurate.
I dig the suits though.
Yeah.
I think they did a good job in the suits, and I think overall, it was a pretty good movie.
Well, think about this. They had to do something different with the suits because the suits are the same in all of them. All they do is they change the bands or the pattern or something. These guys did something completely different
Well,
and they made it work.
futuristic and
Yeah.
more upbeat and really cool. I mean,
Well, we are 30 years later, so.
but it's just the movie was missing something for me, and for what it cost to make it, you think it wouldn't be? Cost $100 million,
It's futuristicness.
and it only made 142 million.
Oof. Ouch. That hurts.
But I mean, it outperformed in every critic score for the original. got a 51, 5.9, and a 44 on Metacritic, which I mean that's pretty good.
It's better than the original.
It is, and it across the board better than the original. It's the only remake that is rated better than its predecessor,
Mm.
and I have a hard time believing that it was better. But honestly, the acting was better, the effects were better. Overall, taking my blind nostalgia out of it, it was a better movie.
It absolutely was. I'm going to go with a 6.2.
And I'm gonna raise you and say it's a 7.5.
Okay, you really liked it then.
I really did like it. I don't think I'd give the original Power Rangers a 7.5 if I watched it without being 6 years old.
No, I for sure wouldn't because it's really, I mean, it plays like a bad 90s movie.
Which is some of the greatest movies of all
Yeah,
time.
I mean, I'm here for it. That's why we're making a podcast about it.
I think those four movies, they were exactly what we thought they were. I figured Total Recall was going to be pretty good. I knew the remake was terrible. I knew Point Break was good, the original. We both know the remake really wasn't that good. Mortal Kombat was what it was. And Mighty Morphin Power Rangers were what they were. But the next movie surprised me. Kind of blew my mind a little bit because as a kid, as a young teenager, I thought this movie was awesome. And I'm talking about The Mummy.
Ooh,
The
Brendan
Mummy.
Fraser.
1999. George of the Jungle.
George of the jungle, look out for that tree.
I thought it was strong as he could be.
There's multiple lines, bro.
There's
It's a
definitely
song.
multiple lines.
Yeah.
So, this movie, as I remembered it, was great. I rewatched it the other week.
Yeah?
Not good.
You thought, well,
Like, not good at all. This might be the worst. This is probably the worst. This little pair are the worst movies on this list.
it made a lot of money, though, I'm sure, right?
I mean, it did all right.
Look at the, I mean, they made,
Let me get
what,
the stats for you.
4 sequels out of it?
There's like 12, I think.
Because you got The Mummy Returns, then you have Scorpion King and Scorpion King 2, then the Scorpion King video game.
And I mean, The Rock was the Scorpion King.
I mean, yeah.
Come on, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
What was his name?
Dwayne.
It doesn't matter what his name is.
That was perfect. But this movie cost $80 million to make. Guess what it made?
How much did it make again? One more time for me.
It cost $80 million to make back in '99.
I'm going to say it made 143 million.
Not even close, dude.
Higher or lower?
Higher.
420 million.
You're almost dead on. It made $417 million.
Ooh.
That's a return on investment.
Yes, sir, it is. See, I'm telling you. I mean, it did great,
It
but you didn't
did.
like it.
I didn't. I just really wasn't as good as I remembered, and overall, I really feel like it was just a bit overrated. It didn't suck me in. It didn't do what I thought it was gonna do.
I don't know. I just think for me, it was just with the time. So it's obviously a movie I watched a few times, and you know that scene with the Beatles. I don't know if you remember that. I mean, it was pretty impressionable on me at that age. So I remember enjoying watching it. I won't lie to you. I didn't rewatch it this time. I wasn't interested enough to do that, but I remember liking it back then. And I understand why they made money. So
I mean, I get the box office for all of it when it first came out, but I mean, there were, like you said, the couple iconic scenes like the bugs, the Beatles who ate that guy alive. That was pretty sweet. But I forgot about the one scene that sticks out in my head. I forgot about is when he takes that dude's eyes in the beginning when they first awake him. Uh, it's just, I was just disappointed. I went in it with rose-colored glasses and I came out with poop on my face.
yeah, just I think it's funny because you and I are both into really. I just think it's funny because you and I are both into ancient civilizations and archaeology and all that stuff. So I just thought that tie would, I thought that would be some interest for you. But
I think that made it worse. How
really,
much I am into ancient civilizations now, but I just found it not as good as I remembered, and that really hurt me a little bit. And overall, I think this and the 2017 one were the worst two movies that we had to watch.
do you think the movie would have been better if they would have recreated it starring Graham Hancock?
Well, I love Hancock. He's amazing. He's got some crazy theories, but some of his stuff they're starting to come to fruition, and people are starting to believe him and stuff like that. Uh,
Do you
yes,
do you think Graham Hancock will ever be on this podcast?
I would. I'd bet my life no,
Mhm.
but maybe when we hit one of these seasons where we start talking about some ancient civilizations and ancient conspiracy theories, and for lack of a better term, name ancient aliens. But no, I don't think he'll ever be on this podcast.
Mm.
I hope so.
I don't think we have enough brain cells for Graham Hancock to show up and talk with us, but it'd be nice. You know, Randall Carlson might actually show up.
I
I
don't
know
even know
about
who
your
that
guy.
is.
Well, he's another. He's a geologist and another guy that talks about cataclysms and all. He was on one of the episodes of Joe Rogan with Graham Hancock.
Oh, that's pretty
It's
sweet.
not the one with Michael Schumer.
Yeah, not that one. All right, back to the movies. So overall, the movie got decent ratings. The Mommy from 1999, 62, 7.1, but a 48 only on Metacritic, which is pretty low, I thought. Uh, but it crushes the remake with what's that short guy who thinks he's an action star's name?
Jennifer Lawrence.
Close, close. I would actually pick her over him.
JK, I love Jennifer Lawrence. I don't know why I said your name. You're beautiful, but
You are wonderful, yes,
You
and
are.
you are great. I just rewatched all the X-Men movies,
Yeah.
and you were stunning in those.
That newer movie she has, oh, I can't remember the name of it. It's where she's like trying to like, I don't know. Anyways,
Anyways, but Tom Cruise.
mm,
And Tom
who?
Cruise has made some good movies, right? Am I wrong about that?
I mean,
Has there
that's
been some good ones?
the only Tom Cruise movie I like is where he is in Tropic Thunder, and he plays Lance Grossman.
Well, that's him in real life.
Lance Grossman?
No, I'm joking.
I would love him if he was Lance Grossman.
Top Gun?
I wasn't a fan.
Really?
Yeah, overrated.
So that one missed our cut. Speaking of remakes, Top Gun came out in '88, and the remake came out in 2022.
Yeah. Well, I'm still confused why we used The Mummy simply because, I mean, it was in the 90s for like 4 months. I mean, come on.
It was still in the '90s.
I know.
You know, we could have done, which we should have done in Super Mario Brothers, but what's a
Yeah.
argument
Then I
for
could have
different
said, it's a me, but whatever.
But this was the remake was terrible. 5 minutes I had it on. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I was going to be honest with you. I didn't want to say it, but I did not watch this one either.
Yeah, I mean, it really is probably the one of the worst movies ever. And I don't know why it didn't win every worst movie award ever. But I mean, it is terrible. Overall audience score, just to throw it out there, 3.7. 15% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh,
15%, dude.
that's rough.
That's bad. I mean, at the
I could probably go outside and film a squirrel running up a tree and get a higher rating.
I probably could too. The crazy part is it actually made money though.
What, in like pesos or what?
No,
Like
millions of dollars. So it
Okay.
cost anywhere. This is what their estimates are. Anywhere from 125 million to 195 million.
That was gross.
That's what it cost
Mm.
to make the movie. It still made, which was less than the original, but it made 410 million. I mean, it still doubled its money at the minimum.
But if we talk about the time difference, it's still really not a
18
fair
years.
comparison. So yeah, it's technically the same amount of money, but I would say the original blew it out the water.
I think the original blew it out the water, even though I don't think the original was that great. I mean, it got 1.5 stars by good old Roger Ebert.
Good old Robert.
I haven't seen anything from Roger in a long time. I mean, he's. I would love to read this review's way too long, but I mean, he eats it alive, and it deserved it. It was terrible, and all I really have to say about it is it was terrible.
Mm.
I mean, that was it.
Just like my math skills. Just
I mean, your
absolutely
math skills are
trash.
better than this movie is. Our podcasting skills at this moment in what month are we in? We're in August of 2024, our first podcast. I would rather listen to this garbage than watch that movie.
That's probably something most people could agree on, guys. I don't know if you've watched it, but I mean, give us the benefit of the doubt. I assure you.
I think we're better than that. At the end of the day, it was a terrible movie. The mommy crushes it. I hate to give it a 0. If I could go negative, I would go negative.
Just, I don't even want to rate it. I'm just
Don't
gonna
watch
put.
it.
I'm gonna put a not applicable next to this one.
Little NA.
Yeah, a little NA action next to this one.
I just
I feel like moving on. I mean, is there anything left today, Jonathan?
Yeah, Justin, I'd like to play a little game. How's that sound?
Well, I like games.
So I'd like for you to rank these action movie stars blindly without knowing who comes next. Sound all right?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can handle that.
So
Not
I'm
too
gonna
much
give you
math
I'm gonna
involved.
give you 5 names, and you just give me a 1 to 5 on them. All right?
Okay.
All right. We're gonna start off with Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes. Okay. So you got Blade.
Blade.
And he was in U.S. Marshal too, right? Was that the right movie?
I think so.
Oof. God, he is in that movie too where he played the baseball player with Robert De Niro. Can't think
Wasn't
of
he
it.
in Demolition Man?
So I don't know who else is on this list. So that's a really hard first one to
I
do.
know,
I
that's
got it.
why I
He
did.
doesn't pay taxes, but dude's a great action star.
Yeah.
Um, let's go number 3.
Really? Number 3.
I don't know
Is
who
that your
else is-
final answer?
All right, put him 2. Wesley Snipes 2. Final answer.
All right. Going to Jackie Chan.
All right. So just because I know what Jackie Chan is, he doesn't fake anything.
All his own stunts. The man jumps off of buildings. all
Jackie
right?
Chan is the real deal, and I know who else potentially could be on this list. I'm gonna go Jackie Chan number 1.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. He's the real deal. He's the man. I mean, Jet Li's not here still, so he's the guy.
Yeah,
Bruce
Jet
Lee,
Li-
sorry, Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee would have been pre him, and then Jet Li would have been after him. So
Right.
good,
And
I mean,
Brandon Lee
is the Crow.
Yeah, he's not here anymore. But yeah.
Kurt Russell.
Okay. I'm gonna go 4 just because I don't know who else is on the list.
I'd say that was a good call. Steven Seagal.
5.
I knew that one was coming.
Yep, easy.
So all you have left is number 3.
So number 3. Wait. Oh yeah.
So just to recap before I blow your mind here. Number 1, you put Jackie Chan. Number 2, you put Wesley Snipes. Number 4, you put Kurt Russell. And number 5, Steven Seagal.
Okay.
Chuck Norris.
All right. So listen. So if I would have went with my gut, and
Should have went with your gut.
if you wouldn't have enticed me to change Wesley Snipes would be at 3, Chuck Norris would be at 2,
Doesn't matter.
and that would be the correct order.
So coming as number 3 in your blind rank is Chuck Norris.
Because Wesley Snipes just plays a badass really well. Chuck Norris he's the real deal also. I mean, he's no Jackie Chan, but
I think he did all right.
that'd be a
But-
good fight. Jackie Chan versus Chuck Norris. Could you imagine that?
I'm taking Chuck Norris.
Did you know that he's so tough under his beard? There's no chin, just another fist.
That's what I'm saying. Jackie
Yeah.
Chan doesn't even have a beard.
The boogeyman checks under his bed for Chuck Norris.
The man has a beard, and he was the Texas Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, that's Walker Texas Ranger. Another remake, a reboot they did series. It's terrible. Don't watch it.
Didn't plan on it, but I
So-
didn't watch the original. I was too young. It was an adult show. I wasn't into it. But
So it is set in
Grandma
stone.
loved it.
Set in stone. Justin thinks Wesley Snipes is a bigger action star than Chuck Norris. Just so everybody knows,
Let the record not reflect that.
he was under scrutiny.
Yeah, I was
That's
under
essential.
duress whenever I made that
Lots of
confession.
duress. All right.
This won't stand up in court.
I mean, it probably won't,
Yeah.
because I prefaced by saying blindly rank these action stars. So, what'd you think?
I had fun, man. I know it took us a while, and I'm tired. I'm tired of recording. I'm ready for this to be over. But this was the first time we did this, and I'm excited to see what it sounds like and hear what people think and kind of go from there. So let this journey continue.
Yeah, I mean, this was a lot more work than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, just getting the equipment, getting everything set up, finding time to record, finding a quiet place to record, especially when you have a wife and child running around sometimes. And luckily for us, we were off during the day one day this week, and we were able to sit down and have the house to ourselves. Um,
Yeah, it didn't stop the trash trucks though.
See, I don't think they picked up. I think we're gonna be all right. But yes, there were some distractions, and I think moving forward, we're gonna get better every day, every week. I strive myself of getting good at what these things, and I look forward to doing another episode.
Listen, we seen where some of these other podcasts started. Shout out Ash and Elena from Morbid. I mean, you go back and listen to some of their earlier podcasts, and I don't want to say they're hard to listen to, but compared to what those ladies do now, you can come a long way in a short time. So,
Yeah, we pulled the band-aid off, and we did it. And I'm proud that we're sitting here and doing this. And I look forward to the next episode. Any ideas what you want to talk about next week?
we're sticking with the 90s themes. I know that. We're talking about movies. How about we stick with that theme for one more episode and rank our top 20?
That's gonna be fun.
And then we could say why that they're on our list. Because there's a lot of movie from the 90s, man. I don't know if you checked it out, but
Ton of movies, ton of great movies.
top 20 might sound like a lot, but wait until you try to put them on paper.
I think it's gonna be hard. I can't wait to try to do it, and I'm sure there'll be some surprises. I know that our top 20s are gonna be vastly different just from our movie taste. Uh, but if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
Yeah, thanks for clicking that bell. I always wanted to say that.
What bell?
I, I don't know. Maybe we'll be on YouTube one day and it'll be like retroactive. I don't know.
All right, I don't know what
Cool.
that means.
Click that bell in the future, guys.
Click that bell, whatever they say. Well, all right, guys. I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Justin.
and that was
Two J's,
One Pod.